These are some dark times, Philadelphia Eagles fans. Dark times. And for the longest, the Philadelphia Eagles is having issues on defense that need to be discussed. Normally, I would say this is the almighty green talons. Going to my slogan of intercepting the pass, running in for the end zone, but I'm not going to talk about that today because this is something to be fixed on the entire team. Now, let's start with the offense. I'm going to get with the defense later on in this video. It's gotten to a point where we can't depend on nobody to run this team. And what I mean by I'm talking about the coaching staff, I'm talking about what's his name? The offensive coordinator, Stitchen, I think that's his name, and then the defensive coordinator by the name of Gannon. Now, Steichen, there's his name, Steichen had a pretty good plan with this Eagles team on offense, the best way he can possible. Jalen Hurts had a bunch of runs to save the teams behind on first downs when you thought everything was lost. The man used his legs to get yards before contact for first downs. He passed the ball with some efficiency. The biggest pass he threw was downfield to none other than A.J. Brown, a 54-yard pass for the first down, which is like, I think he threw the ball from the 25-30-yard line and threw it to him. 54-yard pass on the opposing defensive team's side of the field. Not much to be said there other than receivers catching balls. We left Devonta Smith with no catches. He had 8 targets, but no catches. For the word of me, I don't understand why. I watched that game. He did not get another ball thrown his way. No more in the game. I think he got all his 8 touches. Well, I'm sorry, all his 8 balls thrown his way in the first half of the game, but in the second half of the game, no more balls were thrown his way. So I don't understand the situation with that. Goddard had 7-8 catches for 50 or 60-some yards. No touchdowns. Brown, 10 catches, 155 yards. No touchdowns. All these touchdowns that were given was 4 runs. Jalen Hurts ran 1 into the end zone for a touchdown, and the other one was scored. Other 3 were scored by none other than Boston Scott, Gainwell, and Sanders. And let's not forget the other touchdown, but like I said, that's on the opposing side of the field, which I'll discuss later in the video. Now to get to the offensive line. Jalen Hurts had to run most of his life in most of this game. Lack of protection thereof. I don't understand what it was. Detroit didn't mix any of their coverages on their front 4. They just came mostly with their 4. They had some 5-man looks. They even had 6-7 blitzes tossed towards the offensive way. Either way you look at it, with no blocking because Hurts had to run most of his life in this field, and one of those passes he tried to attempt, he got sacked. And that was a covered sack because he had no one to throw the ball downfield. So that's one he had to eat. The running game got off to a good start, and they basically stuck with that. They did the running most in the second half of the game, which bothered me quite a bit because they didn't do much running in the first half. Only a few here and there, but not many as they did in the fourth quarter. In the second half, fourth quarter, whatever you will, however you may want to call it. This is why I said there's some dark times, and the darker times go toward the defense side of the football, but I still got a bone to pick with the offense because the offensive line couldn't do much blocking because, like I said, Hurts had to run most of this game. He had defensive ends coming on his left, coming on his right. He had tackles coming up the gut, up toward the A and B gaps. He had no protection there, lack of thereof. But Detroit did a lot of mass protecting. In this game, Eagles only had one sack, but one sack was divided by two. And that was Brandon Graham and Fletcher Cox. Those two got the whole sack, but split between those two. That's the only sack that was given. One sack. Now on to the defense. Here where the dark times come in at. No pass rush. No blitzes. Missed tackling. Only one play counts on the defensive side of the football, and that was the tip ball by Kazir White and was intercepted by Bradbury, who ran into the end zone for the pick six. That's the only count on defense. The other counts was the bad tackling, lack of pass rush, no blitz call. I think they blitzed like 3, 4, maybe 5 times in this game, but when they blitzed, it was effective. So Gannon gets the call here because he's the one that made the play calls on defense. Still, he did the same crap that he did last year, and that was the stick defense, the same defensive scheme that Jim Schwartz applied the year before. But at least Jim Schwartz defense did his thing, even though we didn't like what he was doing. But his stick defense was effective. Gannon defense was nowhere near effective as it should have been, because last year, he gets a bye last year. But this year, you got a lot of playmakers on defense. You got linebackers. You got linebackers that can tackle, linebackers that can blitz. You even got Kazir White who can cover a tight end or a running back out of the backfield, or a wide receiver coming out of the backfield. However, whatever type of offensive scheme that the opposing offensive applies. T.J. Edwards, one of the better tackling machines that the Eagles haven't had since Jeremiah Trotter. I don't understand this. For the lack of me, I don't understand this. This is why this is dark times, because the defense needs to step it up. Now, our next opponent is the Minnesota Vikings, who comes into town. I didn't watch the game against the Green Bay Packers, but they demolished the Green Bay Packers, because the Packers has no offensive weapons for Aaron Rodgers, who got sacked 4 times in that game, by the way, from what I was told. The Vikings defense, they're legit. They're very legit. The Eagles cannot play around offensively against the Minnesota front. They're tough. They still got some of the linebackers they had from the past 3 or 4 years. They still got 3 or 4 of their guys on defense for the last 3 or 4 years. So they really ain't missing much defensive guys. It's a few guys in the secondary that's new, but their front 4 in the linebacking unit, they pretty much still together. They can't provide a pass rush. They can't get to the quarterback, and they can stop the run. If the pass rush is effective, that means Hurts would not be able to complete a single pass downfield, or much less a dink dunk downfield. He won't be able to do jet sweeps, or he won't even do tight end or wide receivers balls out of the backfield. All this gonna be nonchalant if the Eagles don't block up front with the offensive line that they have. If this don't change, this again we will lose. Minnesota right now coming in the Eagles territory 1-1. They 1-0 like we 1-0. Somebody got to be 2-0. Somebody got to be 1-1. That's the way it goes. Or it could be a tie. And I am not too keen on ties. These haven't had a tie since 2019. And we tied with the Cincinnati Bengals. That's the last time we had a tie. I don't like ties. I don't know about the Eagle fan base, but I don't like ties. I hate it because ties can work against you when it comes to football games. If you got a losing record, that tie ain't going to be a losing tie. You remember, you remember kept that tie extra loss. But if you winning, that tie don't mean nothing. That's how a tie works. So I'm hoping that the Eagles do not tie the game against the Minnesota Vikings. We got to win this game at least by 5 or 10 points. The game against the Detroit Lions, we barely got away from that team because the Detroit Lions are as good as advertised. Now we can sit here and talk about Detroit Lions all we want and say how bad they are, but they are building little by little at a time. If the Detroit Lions don't have a winning season this season, they'll be damn near close to it. Now back to the Minnesota and Vikings and Eagles game. Like I said, we're going to have to block up front. We have to block up front. Offensive line going to have to block. They got to do better blocking this year because the rust in last week's game was self-exclamatory. When you don't have physical training camps, expect to have some rust when you play the opposing opponent. Expect to be rust. Expect that. And this is what happened in the preseason games and the training camps games and all these joint practices the Eagles have had. No physicality. Most of all the second and third string guys played in those games, in those joint practices and the preseason games. Mostly the second and third string players and practice squad players. No physicality. You will be rust in the week 1 game. And as usual, that's how it works. When you're rusty, you're either going to win or you're going to lose. The Eagles survived the menacing Detroit Lions. And I do mean menacing because they were very menacing they were menacing at home in Detroit. They were very menacing. They showed their grit, they showed their guts, and they showed their heart. The Eagles barely had any heart against Detroit because we won that game 38-35. That's 4 points. 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, 4 points. 4-point game. No, 3-point game. 38. No, 38-35. 38-35. That's right. It's a 3 or 4 point game. But even when you look at it, we barely get it in this game against the Detroit Lions. And then game against the Minnesota Vikings, that should not be allowed because the Eagle fan base can't tolerate another rusty game against a very good Minnesota Vikings front. And the Eagles defense gonna have to concentrate poorly on the quarterback and the running game and Thielen and Jefferson. They got a good tight end. I can't forget the guy's name, but they had one guy at one point by the name of Kevin Rudolph, but they shipped him to another team. But they got some small time tight end who's doing pretty good with them. But Justin Jefferson is the number 1 receiver. Thielen's the second receiver. Thielen did get much pass thrown this way last week from what I've been told, but teams are now going to double up on Jefferson. And they're going to leave Thielen wide open to get some balls. The same could be said for A.J. Brown. A.J. Brown had 155-yard catch, 155-yard game last week against the Detroit Lions. The coverage will shift his way. That's going to leave Devonta open. And that's going to leave Garland open. And it should get some opportunities for what's his name? The other wide receiver, Watkins. It should get the opportunity for Watkins too. Because Watkins didn't get many balls thrown his way as well last week. So a lot of play calling that was good and some that wasn't that good. So this is why I'm calling this video the Dark Times, the key to victory. Because this is dark times. Because last week was a dark game. And this week, we need the light to shine on darkness. We need the light to shine. Right now, I got this thing on because it's dark. I'm dark. I'm being dark at the moment because I can't believe what I saw last week. And I can't, and I don't think I'm going to be able to make it if the Eagles pull the same stunt they pulled last week against the all Minnesota Vikings team. Now last time I made a video. I think when the Eagles played the Minnesota Vikings in the playoff in the divisional round back here almost 4 or 5 years ago, they played the Eagles played them in the divisional round in Philadelphia. When I made that video, and I was saying go, their theme. I want to make another video about that Sunday afternoon. I want to make another video on that. And I want to show them that we don't give a damn about go. It's all about fly, Eagles, fly. That's what it's all about. And personally, a lot of you guys out there in social media land are talking bad about Jalen Reagor. They think I would talk about that guy, would I? Well, you know what? I bought his jersey 3 years ago. I'd be one to admit that. I bought his jersey 3 years ago. Do I need to burn it? No, I'm not gonna burn it because that jersey cost me too much money to burn. But I will leave it in the dark clouds or dark closet or in the drawer. Cause I doubt I ever wear that jersey again. I doubt it very seriously because when he came to the Philadelphia Eagles in 2019, I believe, it was so much hype surrounding his playmaking abilities. But in the first year, we give you a pass in your first year. But your second year, you stunk. Your third year, you stunk. And the Eagles decided not to renew your contract. So this season, without even playing a game, you stunk. And you know what? I expect the same thing. But I'm not going to underestimate him because he might prove us wrong. And if he proves us wrong, a lot of us could be wondering, wow, why did he do this with the Philadelphia Eagles? Why did he do this on the football field? Why did he do this in practices? Why did he do this in training camp? Why did he do this in the preseasons? They may have 3 preseason years. Why did he do any of that? That's a very good. Those are very good questions, and they remain to be unanswered because as long as he's in the NFL, they're gonna stay unanswered. So, the key to victory. Jonathan Gannon, this means you. I would call out Steichen, but I'm not going to call him up because I think he already has his game plan in hand, what he's going to do. It's Jonathan Gannon that's the concern. You wonder why I say he's a concern? Watch week 1 game against the Detroit Lions. You'll know what I mean. But, like I said, it goes to him because he's the one that makes the calls on defense. Now, let's take it back to Jordan Davis, my boy, number 90. The guy been on the field three times in last week's game. And them 3 times he was on the field, teams did not run the ball effectively against him because you know why? Because he broke through to contain the run. He didn't make much tackles, but he contained the run where he left the defensive ends or cornerback to make the tackles in the backfield. This week's game against the Minnesota Vikings, he needs to play more than what he's accounted for. I said it several times over. Jordan Davis is nothing more than a second and a third down defensive tackle. He's not a first down defensive tackle. He needs to be on second and third downs and possible fourth down if teams decide to go for it. The only time that Jordan needs to be used. And if the more and more he gets on the field, the more and more he'll get acclimated, and more and more he'll get into shape to stay on field on the first, second, and third downs. The guy weighs 325 to 230 pounds. 6'6". He's a behemoth, a mammoth. It takes 2 or 3 offensive linemen to hold this guy. And once they holding him, they're leaving the other guys one-on-one to make tackles or sacks on the quarterback or the running game. That's what you call a complete pass rush. And if he's on the field on those downs, your linebackers can stay in space and make tackles depending on who coming out of the backfield. Or they can be used on blitzes to get to the quarterback or get to the running game. Cornerbacks can stay out on an island and guard the tight ends, guard the wide receivers. Or the slot running back or slot receiver coming out of the backfield or out in the slot areas, left and right. You need to do some thinking, Jonathan Gannon. You really need to do some thinking because, see, last year you were a coaching candidate for the Houston Texans. They didn't hire you because you were still young defensive coordinator mind called. That's why you didn't get hired. The Texans went with a more experienced guy, and that was Lovie Smith, who been in the NFL many, many years before going to the college level and making his way back to the NFL. Lovie Smith is a defensive strategist who coached under not Herm Edwards, but he coached under John Gruden, who made him defensive coordinator. So that's experience right there. Jonathan Gannon, you ain't got much. You ain't no much more than a third or fourth year coach who went through the ranks to get to where you are now. So you need to do a better play calling this week against the Minnesota Vikings. Because if not, I forgot the quarterback then. I can't think of his name all the money in the world, but he will beat you. He's a very good quarterback. He ain't the best quarterback, but he's a very good quarterback. And he will toss the ball to Jefferson for first downs, or him running towards the end zone for the score, for many scores, for far as I'm concerned. Then he got Thielen, who also has the speed to get downfield for the touchdown. They got a tight end. I can't think of his name in the world, but they got a tight end. They can do the same thing. And then they got the running back. See what I mean? You got to call a better plan this week against the Minnesota Vikings. Got to. Because here's where it comes down to. And the Eagle fans will probably agree with me. If we lose this game against the Minnesota Vikings, let it be by no more than 5 or 2, 5, 3, 5, 4, or 3, or 1 point. Close as possible. No blowouts. I don't want to see Minnesota Vikings with 38 and we got 12. Or they got 38 and we got 20. I don't even want to see that. We need to get 40 points and they have 20 or 15 or 10. If you know what I mean. It's all about winning. It's all about coming up with the game plan and winning. For some odd reason, you ain't getting that. And a lot of us Eagle fan bases out here and Eagle content creators are saying the same thing about you. We're getting tired. We're getting tired. See, last year you had a bye because you didn't have the talent. But this year you got the talent. Roseman bought you some guys and he also drafted some guys for you. So you got the talent. Make the play calls. Get these guys in position to win the football game. Because we all know defenses win games. Offense puts up points. Sometimes because last week against the Detroit Lions, the offense won the game for us. Jalen Hurts, A.J. Brown, Sanders. Those three guys won the game for the Philadelphia Eagles last week. This week against the Minnesota Vikings, the Eagles defense need to stamp down. They need to put their foot into the dirt and get to the quarterback. Get to the running game. Prevent the deep ball. Stop the jet sweep, and most importantly, stop the running back from coming out of the backfield on screen plays. We're sick and tired of teams doing that to us because the Detroit Lions ran on us last week for 140-something yards by one running back, but overall 200-something yards rushing. I'm pissed off and I'm tired of seeing our team getting beat like this. And this is just week 1. So imagine if you mess up in week 2 against the Minnesota Vikings. You will have the fan base calling for your head. You will get dissed. They're going to want you fired because they know that you have not changed your strategy from last year and from last week's game. You ain't changed nothing. So today, we as Eagles content creators and fan base are letting you know right now, you need to make a change on defense. Get Jordan Davis out on the field more than what he was last week. 3 snaps? Not 3 snaps. 3 times on the field and had about 20. I think he had 22 snaps, but 3 times on the field? Come on now. You got to do better than that, Jonathan Gannon. You got to do better than that because we are really sick and tired of this. We're tired. I'm tired. I mean, I could laugh, but I'm not going to laugh because I'm really tired of this. I mean, we have had some very good defensive coordinators with the Eagles. And it all starts with Buddy Ryan. I mean, you got Jim Johnson. I mean, you got Bud Carson. All these guys were very good defensive strategists. Architects. Buddy Ryan, the creator of the 40-30 defense. Bud Carson was a disciple of Buddy Ryan. He kept the 40-30 defense going. Then you got Jim Johnson, the creator of the cornerback, defensive back zone blitz. We live by the blitz, you die by the blitz. But the Jim Johnson defense blitz was on time, on point, 80% of the time. The Buffalo Bills run the same defensive scheme. The Kansas City Chiefs run the same defensive scheme. They run the same scheme because you got 2 Jim Johnson disciples. 3 of them, rather, because the Bill coach is a Jim Johnson disciple. Leslie Frazier, a Jim Johnson disciple. And I forgot the coach, I forgot the guy of the Kansas City Chiefs, but he's also a Jim Johnson disciple. You got 3 guys that still running the Jim Johnson defensive scheme, the cornerback, defensive back zone blitz. We've had very good defensive coordinators and architects on the Eagles team. Not too many NFL teams can say that, but we did. Jonathan Gannon, I'm not exactly sure what type of defensive scheme you're trying to employ, but from what I've heard, you're trying to bring some 3-4-4-3 mixed coverages. We haven't seen that effectively yet, and I don't understand why. We have not seen that in week 1. But the Minnesota game, we need to see that. Because if Eagle fan base don't see your defensive plan and what you're trying to do, you will be out on the next train out of Philly, heading to the unemployment line, while the Eagles employ another defensive coordinator, a much better one or much experienced one, I hope. Because I don't believe Gannon knows what he's doing. I don't think he knows. Because if he did, the game against Detroit Lions would have been a better output. You can't blame everything on Russ. Because, to me, Russ only occurs in the first half. Second half should be a better output, but it was not. So, I'm going to go ahead and end this video on a positive note because dark times. Dark times. So, this is your boy. I'm not even going to say it. Y'all enjoy y'all week. Until Sunday. And I will see you Sunday afternoon. Eagles versus Minnesota. Or Minnesota at Philadelphia. That's what it's going to be about. So, enjoy yourself. Because I'm definitely going to enjoy mine. Peace.